December 11, 2025. Early morning near the town of Zarechne, Lyman region. A convoy of Russian motorcycles entered a narrow dirt road that they believed to be safe. They did not know that above the low trees and high mounds, a sniper team from the Azov Special Forces Brigade had been monitoring this route for days. And just as the convoy reached the kill zone, carefully calculated, the entire ambush plan was unexpectedly activated.
The night before the battle, Azov positioned a sniper team on a hill about 1,200 meters from the road, with a direct view of the entire narrow stretch. The drone control team hid their equipment a few dozen meters away to assist with observation and adjustments. Light support forces were positioned on the flanks to block any retreat if necessary. At dawn, the reconnaissance drone took off, scanning the entire route with a thermal camera. Everyone lay still, making only minor adjustments to the sights and control signals. At around 9 a.m., the drone's camera spotted a convoy of Russian motorcycles approaching. Leading the way were several off-road vehicles carrying commanders, followed by a long line of two-wheeled motorcycles carrying soldiers, moving in single file on the dirt road.
Azov immediately locked on to priority targets, the drivers and soldiers sitting behind them on the first vehicles, the exposed shooters on the saddles. The FPV drone was kept on standby, but the main plan was to snipe them one by one. When the first motorcycle convoy entered the ambush zone, forced to slow down slightly to avoid potholes, the entire sniper team was already in position.
Range, wind direction, distance. Azov had calculated all factors in advance with the Snipex Alligator and anti-material sniper rifles. 9:12 a.m. A sharp crack split the air. The opening shot hit the lead motorcycle. The driver and passengers slumped over immediately. The bike crashed, blocking the road like a rock stuck in a bottleneck. Less than 2 seconds later, the second motorcycle suffered the same fate. In an instant, the long convoy behind was forced to stop.
The Russians reacted immediately. Some soldiers jumped out of their vehicles, rolled to the side of the road, and sought cover. They fired back at the mound of earth where they suspected the snipers were. But the Azov sniper team did not panic. They had trained hundreds of times for situations like this. Only shoot when the target is clearly visible. Don't rush, don't waste ammunition. A drone spotted a Russian soldier trying to set up a light machine gun. The coordinates were marked.
A single precise shot ended the counterattack attempt. Immediately after, another motorcycle tried to turn into the ditch. The driver didn't have time to handle the steering before he was taken down. Russian soldiers threw smoke grenades to blind the snipers. Smoke filled the air, forming a gray-white curtain covering part of the road. But smoke couldn't hide thermal signals. The drone saw through the smoke, pinpointing each enemy's position. A group of soldiers took cover behind a motorcycle wreck. They thought the smoke was enough to shield them. A single shot pierced the smoke, ending their fragile hopes of defense. Just 3 minutes after the opening shot, the Russian convoy descended into chaos. A group of 6 soldiers tried to run along a dirt ditch to escape the area, but just 2 well-aimed shots stopped the front-runners in their tracks, causing those behind to panic and lie flat. They had no choice but to wait, and each was shot down as they exposed themselves.
At the rear of the convoy, several motorcycles attempted to accelerate, hoping to break through the encirclement. But the narrow terrain forced them to run in a predictable straight line. With just a slight adjustment of the angle, a shot hit the lead vehicle. It crashed into the bushes and burst into flames. The fire spread to the ammunition and fuel on the other vehicles, creating a chain of large explosions that made any attempt to retreat nearly hopeless. Another group on the left flank attempted to circle around, but drones had been tracking them since they split from the formation. The data was transmitted very quickly. The gunners adjusted their aim in that direction. The subsequent shots forced them to abandon their vehicles and run in all directions. But the open terrain made them even more obvious targets. A last-ditch effort emerged when the Russians tried to mount a light machine gun on an intact motorcycle. They hoped to create enough firepower to cover the remaining group's retreat. But Azov had identified this as a priority target. When the operator exposed himself, a single shot ended any hope of resistance. By now, the Russian formation was nearly disintegrated. Motorcycles were stuck in mud or collided with each other.
Screaming, engine roaring and desperation, small explosions from ruptured fuel tanks. On the dirt road, a chaotic scene unfolded. Burning vehicles, thick smoke, motionless bodies lying amidst the ashes of a meticulously planned ambush. Russian artillery reacted late, firing a barrage of shells into the field north of Zarichne. None hit Azov's actual position. The sniper team remained calm, not rushing to retreat, but continuing to observe if any enemy groups were still trying to survive.
When the drone confirmed there was no longer any direct threat, the order to withdraw was given. At 9:22 a.m., Azov left their position as planned. They retreated into the forest along a pre-planned detour, avoiding leaving any traces. But the drone detected a Russian helicopter approaching from the east. To disrupt its approach, the support team fired a series of warning shots into the air.
The helicopter was forced to slow down, change its direction of observation, and maintain a safe distance. That was enough time for Azov to disappear from the area. By 9:27 a.m., as Russian helicopters circled the scene, they saw only the aftermath of a disaster. Dozens of destroyed motorcycles strewn about, the assault route completely wiped out, and no trace of the force that had caused it all.
Azov completed a short, cold, and effective campaign, turning a seemingly safe stretch of road into a death trap that Russia could not cross for hours. That afternoon, President Volodymyr Zelensky was present at the base. The ceremony was brief, eliminating all pomp and circumstance. The president proceeded to present medals and flowers to those who participated in the campaign.
This official recognition focused on outstanding achievements based on tangible results. A small group with absolute precision and high combat discipline successfully neutralized a vital supply line and forced the enemy to completely change their direction of movement across the entire area. This was a definitive acknowledgement of superior combat effectiveness. While the front lines marked victories, Ukraine's rear also made significant progress.
An international project in the United Kingdom entered its final phase, preparing for mass production of Ukrainian-designed drones on British soil. These devices will be delivered directly to combat units, supporting them in reconnaissance, fire adjustment, and increasing their ability to complete difficult missions. In campaigns like the Zarichne ambush, the combination of man and technology has clearly demonstrated its power. And now, that technological support will only grow stronger.
In the silence of that evening, as the soldiers set down their equipment and wiped the dust from their gloves, no one spoke of glory.
They only knew that once again they had held on to a piece of their land, and behind them stood a nation rising up through its own will and capability. Glory to Ukraine.